Thank you, Speaker. I rise today to speak on a petition signed by more than 10,000 people calling for urgent action at the intersection of Failford Road and the Lakesway. And this is not a minor issue, so I'm disappointed to see that the Minister for Regional Roads and Transport has not come down yet to participate in this important debate. It's one of the main gateways off the Pacific Highway into the Forster-Tuncurry region. It carries high volumes of traffic every day, and that increases significantly during holiday periods, long weekends. Thank you, Minister. With visitors, caravans, boats and freight. On some days it stretches as far back as Willow Point Road, and for the locals, we know that's an incredibly long way. And yet, Speaker, it remains a stop sign controlled T intersection in an 80km/h zone where drivers coming out of Failford Road are expected to cross high-speed traffic and hope they have judged it correctly. People sign this petition because they know the risk is real and they are tired of waiting for something catastrophic to happen before action is taken. This intersection is one of the most important issues raised by constituents in my electorate, but today I just wanted to share one particular experience from Greg, and it's about his daughter Brooke and her friend who were involved in a crash at this intersection. Greg texted his daughter wishing her a great weekend away. She was travelling to Forster with her friend for the weekend, and within 2 minutes she replied to say she'd been in an accident. He then received a call telling him that she was stuck in the car. Then the phone cut out. Greg drove from Newcastle to Tuncurry not knowing what he was driving towards. That is the reality behind this petition. But we also know that evidence matters too. Official crash statistics show that between 2019 and 2022, thankfully, there were only 3 reported crashes at this intersection, and there were no recorded fatalities in that 4-year period. And that's just the official record. We all know that crash data captures incidences that have been reported to police involving injury or where vehicles are towed. It does not reflect the near misses and unreported minor crashes locals experience far too often. And when you look at the broader history of this corridor, it's clear that this has been dangerous for a really long time. Earlier accident analysis, there's been 86 accidents in 5 years, including 3 fatalities, 31 injury crashes, and more than 50 tow-away accidents. So the story here is not that the risk is low. The story is that this is a legacy intersection design that has not kept pace with traffic growth or modern safety standards. Modelling undertaken for traffic volumes projects that traffic will increase to up to 24,000 vehicles per day by 2030. A stop sign controlled intersection cannot safely manage that future. Speaker, only this week in the chamber, in question time, the Premier spoke about the regional road toll. And he advised that as at the 5th of February this year, there had already been 28 fatalities on New South Wales roads, including 22 on country roads. And he acknowledged that high-speed regional roads are where the greatest risk remains. So when the government talks about reducing road trauma in New South Wales, intersections like Failford are exactly what that commitment must mean in practice. I have raised this repeatedly since the day I was elected. I've written to the Treasurer every year ahead of the budget calling for this upgrade to be funded. On the back of representations made to the Minister for Regional Roads in April 2024, the Minister advised this intersection has been identified as an intersection of interest under the Towards Zero Road Safety Program, and that potential solutions including a roundabout would be considered, subject to consultation, approvals and funding availability. In another response, the Minister acknowledged community concern and advised Transport for New South Wales was looking at a staged approach with short-term measures like signage and line marking and consultation expected in early 2025. So you see, Speaker, that here lies the problem. For locals and all who frequent the most beautiful electorate in New South Wales, and there are many that frequent that area, it has been years of the same language: investigate, consult and seek funding, while they keep driving through the same unsafe intersection every single day. Failford Road and this intersection of the Lakesway are state roads. This is the responsibility of Transport for New South Wales and it requires a state funding commitment. So today, Speaker, I speak for my community and the more than 10,000 people who signed this petition, and I ask the government to act before there is a fatality. And I call on them to commit to the funding and delivery of the upgrade at Failford Road and the Lakesway before we are standing in this chamber talking about a tragedy that could have been prevented.
The question is the House take note of the petition. I call them in for Port Stephens.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I want to thank the member for Myall Lakes for bringing forward this petition to the House and to thank and acknowledge all the members of her community that have signed the petition. And I want to thank the Minister for Roads for being here and has been here for the duration of the contribution made by the member for Myall Lakes as well. Failford Road and the Lakes Way provide an important link connecting the Pacific Highway and the townships of Foster and Tuncurry. We acknowledge that, and I acknowledge that this is an important issue to the community that the member represents. And I understand that this intersection is subject to heavy morning peak traffic and a high volume influx of holiday traffic. Typically, the highest volume movements are the right turn onto the Lakes Way and left turn onto Failford Road, which can be difficult with the current intersection arrangements. And I can understand why the community wants to see this intersection upgraded and welcome their advocacy on it. However, what I can't understand is why, if they thought this project was so important, and the community has raised this obviously and considered it important for a long time, why the Liberals and Nationals, when in government, failed to deliver any improvements to this intersection during the 12 long years they were in government from 2011 to 2023. As the member for Myall Lakes has said here today, this intersection has been dangerous for a long time. So in 2020, under the Lakes Way Corridor Plan, when it was completed, it identified key infrastructure upgrades, including the intersection at Failford Road and Lakes Way. That was in 2020, when the former coalition government was in place. The plan was developed by Transport for New South Wales, Mid-Coast Council and the Department of Planning, Infrastructure and Environment. From this corridor strategy, an options report was developed in 2021 on the preferred solution to the intersection. However, the member for Myall Lakes colleagues in government at the time, in the coalition, the Liberals and Nationals, did nothing after receiving this report. So we, in government, are actually getting on with the work required to upgrade this intersection, and the Minister will no doubt provide more details about what's coming. But since coming to government, the Means Labor government has commenced a preliminary strategic review of possible safety and efficiency improvement options to upgrade the Failford Road and Lakes Way intersection. Following completion of this review, I'm advised Transport for New South Wales will consider nominating the intersection upgrade for funding through the Towards Zero Safer Roads program, subject to prioritisation with other nominations from across the road network. But we aren't sitting still in the meantime. We are doing what we can to make it safer now, whilst plans for the future are being made. On 15 August 2025, we completed maintenance works on asphalt resurfacing to improve skid resistance at the intersection. Transport for New South Wales is collaborating with Mid-Coast Council to deliver further improvements at this location, while a long-term option is being determined. The section of the Lakes Way north of Failford Road intersection is managed by Mid-Coast Council. In 2025, Transport supported Mid-Coast Council to deliver new line marking and asphalt on the Lakes Way. These works have provided a substantial improvement in safe intersection sight distance, which is expected to significantly reduce the history of crashes at the location. The crossing distance for vehicles turning right out of Failford Road has also been reduced by about 5 metres. But this isn't all that the Means Labor government is doing. We are also investigating and developing concept plans to increase capacity along the Lakes Way in the Darrawank area. This includes looking to provide overtaking lanes north and southbound to improve traffic flow and capacity of the road network. Unlike the Liberals and Nationals, who failed to deliver any meaningful improvements to this intersection when they were in government, we have already delivered interim safety improvements, and we are doing the work required to get this project to a shovel-ready state. The Liberals and Nationals have a history. They had a history of talking a lot about road upgrades and projects in the Hunter and delivering little. In my electorate of Port Stephens, the M1 connection to the Pacific Highway at Raymond Terrace, that was probably well known to many of the community that members that you represent in the Myall Lakes. That was stuck in the slow lane for over a decade, and it wasn't until the coalition Commonwealth government the Labor Commonwealth government and the Labor state government actually made that start happening and delivering that intersection, and it's going gangbusters now, and it is going to be delivering important outcomes for your community and mine. The Means Labor government will keep doing the work to make roads safer across the state.
The question is, the House take note of the petition, I call the member for Upper Hunter.
Thank you very much, Temporary Speaker. Well, I would like to make a contribution as well and congratulate those people in the electorate who've put their names to this important petition, and can I congratulate the member for Myall Lakes for bringing it here for our attention, because it is important that we continue to look at all these road infrastructure and we look at continuous improvement. So, but many of the people, no doubt, who signed this petition are local in that electorate, but many of those people I do know who travel to this part of the world, and many of those people would have stayed at the caravan parks, would have signed this petition. It is something that a lot of people use, and when it is busy in that area of the world, it's very busy. So it sort of adds an extra bit of importance, because a lot of holiday makers, many unfamiliar with the area in this area. Going on their holidays, it really does. But it's important that these petitions do highlight areas of concern. It is a major gateway, but locals themselves can see the risks on the road, and the stats certainly show that there are risks. There's been accidents there, and it already qualifies for greater attention. But that local knowledge, when it is put into a petition like this, it really is incredibly powerful to say to this House, say to this government, right out, let's do something about this intersection. So congratulations to everyone who has signed it. I know that the solution has been identified of what we can do, and through the Minister's Hunter Strategic Regional Transport Plan, she's identified that a roundabout could be a possible solution at this site, and it would be great to see that acted upon and make a true difference there. So we do know that Transport New South Wales has looked at identifying that optimal solution. Now the job is to get on with it. And I guess that's what the petitioners want. They want action there. We've heard from the member of Port Stephens. She's told us all about the reviews, all about the plans that her government's done. She seems to have forgotten that all the incredible work that the coalition did. Maybe forgot that we announced that M1, and we were there. We were in government when we announced it. But apart from that, don't worry about it. I did see all the big signs go up from all you guys saying we own it. Sure. Anyway, it's all about remaking history, and I do remember these members all there complaining about many of the infrastructure projects. But this is an infrastructure project we shouldn't be hearing from the member of Port Stephens complaining about. We should be hearing about all of us talking about how important it is for road safety, for getting on, for building on the work that's already happened on Failford Road under the previous government. Now it's this government's turn. Come on, let's show your mettle. Let's go on and get some action done in this particular area, because this intersection isn't just busy. It's about drivers being forced to navigate oncoming traffic, 80 kilometres an hour, and when you've got that high-speed thoroughfare like the Lakes Way, it's a major meeting point with Failford Road, and you're just not risking a little dust with another car. You are risking people's lives, and so therefore a roundabout forces traffic to slow down, removes the chance of a high-speed T-bone collision. And so this petition is calling for that solution, and it's not a small complaint. When you can get 10,000 signatures on, that really highlights we need action here. So as much as I don't get to foster as much as I'd like, but I have had the privilege of going to the member for Myall Lakes' seafood dinner, yes, which I can tell everyone, yes, one of the best things that happened in this state, yes, is that dinner, and I love going to it, and I want to know that I can go there safely, yes, and I want to know I can get there and have a few prawns with the member for Myall Lakes. So yes, look, I'm sure the assessment has been done. The solution has been identified. The community is certainly mobilised, and so now we're just asking the government to add Failford Road intersection to a priority list so it gets the funding it needs to deliver this important safety measure.
I thank the member. The question is the House take note of the petition. I call the member for Shell Harbour.
Seems to be the same old hymn from those opposite, all care and no responsibility. You had 12 years to do this and you did nothing. It's the same old story. The same old story.
Order, members. Order.
You know, but anyway, on this side of the House, Speaker, and today I do rise as a Parliamentary Secretary for Roads, but also as a regional MP who understand the road infrastructure that we are getting on with at the moment. I'm very familiar what it means to have your regional electorate neglected by the Liberals and Nationals, because I put up with that for 12 long, torturous years. 12 long, torturous years, my electorate of Shell Harbour got very, very little. So I thank the members of the community who signed this petition for a better and safer road infrastructure at the Failford Road and the Lakes Way intersection. Speaker, rural and regional road infrastructure is crucial for enhancing access to essential services, promoting economic development and improving the quality of life in rural communities. And that's why the Minns Labor government has invested heavily in making regional roads safer across a variety of programs and projects. Speaker, in 2023, the Minns Labor government established the Regional Roads Fund, which is investing in safer and more efficient road infrastructure right across New South Wales. With an allocation of $344 million, the fund is supporting construction of new roads or roundabouts, the replacement and repair of bridges, and improving safety and supporting road passenger connectivity. In the 2023-2024 New South Wales budget, the Minns Labor government also committed $390 million to regional councils under the Regional Emergency Road Repair Fund for vital repair and maintenance work on the road network. The RERRF funding was shared across all 95 eligible regional councils and authorities based on the total kilometres of regional and local roads that they were responsible for managing. Speaker, each year we also fund road safety upgrades across New South Wales through the Towards Zero Safer Roads program. I know the member for Myall Lakes is very familiar with that program, and I'm very pleased to report to the House that a record $2.8 billion was allocated towards road safety in the most recent budget by the Minns Labor government. Speaker, this program aims to deliver a sustainable long-term reduction in road trauma across the New South Wales road network by addressing high-risk locations. Speaker, the Myall Lakes community is well aware of the road and safety challenges at this intersection highlighted through the petition, and I'm advised that Transport for New South Wales will consider opportunities to fund improvements at the Failford Road and the Lakes Way intersection through the Rounds Towards Zero Safer Roads program. Speaker, the Minns Labor government is also committed to the delivery of strategic regional integrated transport plans right across the state. This plan identifies achievable actions that governments can take to deliver better transport policies, services and infrastructure to growing regional communities. And these plans aim to bring more strategic and regional focus and integrated transport planning. Speaker, these plans are outcomes focused and identify priority actions and initiatives that complement work being done by all levels of government and can progress into planning and delivery of new transport and road networks in our regions. In October, we released the Hunter SRITP, which will be a blueprint to guide the Hunter's transport future and support growth for the next 2 decades. We look forward a long way, unlike those opposite who always had that, band-aid for a bullet wound approach. On this side of the House, we actually look forward to what communities will need going into the future, and this means that the intersection upgrade will be considered through the future budget processes and road safety prioritisation rounds. Speaker, the Minns Labor government is committed to building a better New South Wales, and that includes delivering a safer and better road infrastructure that was neglected for too long under those opposite. That is what we are doing, and that is what we will continue to do. And I thank for those opposite for speaking through about my whole contribution right there.
The question is the House take note of the petition. I call the member for Bathurst.
Yeah, thank you, Speaker. And I do wish to speak in relation to the petition that has been brought here to the House by the member for Myall Lakes. And I want to state from the onset that I want to thank the member for the work that she has done in working with her community. For any petition that's brought into this House that has actually had 10,000 signatures put down on a piece of paper shows the commitment of the local member, but also the importance of that project in the local community. So on behalf of her community, to have this petition debated and highlighted here in this House is about one thing, and it's about protecting and saving lives here in this state. And it's about making sure that this road is safe for all of those people and all of those visitors that continue to visit that particular area. And we know that this intersection has grown over time. We are seeing thousands more vehicle movements on that particular intersection. So we're not talking about the same road that we were talking about 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 12 years ago. And I find it disgusting that the member for Shell Harbour gets up and talks about roads that may have been and should have been funded 12 years ago. There are changes. You see communities grow. You see different routes being used by communities, and therefore governments need to be investing into those demands and into those roads that actually require them to be a priority. And what we're actually saying, and I hear the member, get up here and say that there's $2.8 billion going into regional communities. But when I'm travelling around, I'm not hearing that being witnessed by councils. I'm not hearing that being witnessed or spoken about by community members. I'm not witnessing it on the ground out there. What we're seeing from a government here opposite at the moment is all spin. It's a government that is actually talking about doing another review. Let's do another study. Let's kick it down the road. We might make it a priority. But again, no, this is what you said. Come on, this is what you said. So at the end of the day, the member for Shell Harbour to come in here and tell us that no money was invested in all of those years of a coalition government is just complete rubbish, because the investment that we saw was actually investing in the Princess Highway. There you go. Roads that you actually benefit from as well. Now, the New South Wales Labor government is actually failing regional New South Wales. I mean, if this was a pothole, you know, it would be an inconvenience maybe in the city. But this is a lifeline and the lifeblood for people in our communities. The lifeblood to have safe roads. And we're just lucky that at the Failford Lakesway intersection that there hasn't been a serious accident. And we don't include near misses as part of the data that is collected to look at the roads in those areas. And if this is the case, then you shouldn't be just saying that we're going to be just looking at this road and doing it as another priority, potentially another review. Then we'll consider it, and then we'll look at prioritising. That's the best way of saying we'll just kick this road completely down the road again. But it's people like the member for Myall Lakes who actually come into this place who actually highlight this. And the member hasn't raised this for the very first time here today on behalf of her community. She's been fighting for this now for several years, raising this important road since she has been elected into this particular house. Now, in regional New South Wales, you know, people deserve to get home safely. Regional roads, they're not side streets. You know, they are used for freight corridors. People are using them to get to work each and every day. People are using them for, you know, there's bus routes as well. And any project that's being delayed, projects that are being put on the back burner, you know, that's what we're seeing time after time with this government. And that's exactly what you're doing. You have a reputation at the moment of a government that is delaying projects, a government that is cutting projects, a government that is actually missing when it comes to maintenance. And yet we have councils that are being left out there to pick up the tab because of the lack of investment that we are seeing not happening in our roads. Now, Labor talks about investment. Here we go, another person who wants to contribute, but he doesn't want to talk about the safety of this road. That you need to keep people safe, to protect lives here in this state. And yet, you know, if you really cared, you'd actually widen the shoulders of roads. You'd actually put those roundabouts in where they are needed. But yet we have a government wanting to continue to blame and not look after the residents of regional New South Wales.
The question is the House take note of the petition. I call the Minister in reply.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Look, one thing that I do agree with the member for Bathurst on is that it is really important when you get a community giving feedback about needs of roads in the community that we want to hear about it. That's exactly why we've instituted strategic regional integrated transport plans. This particular project, and I thank all of those petitioners for putting their name to this cause of Failford Road and the Lakesway intersection, have raised a good point, and as countless speakers have said, it's one that could have been addressed earlier and unfortunately wasn't, that is something that is a real shame. In fact, I remember standing here with the member for Port Stephens in a debate about the Foster-Tuncurry Bridge back in 2022 when they were in government, asking for work on that bridge planned and opened by the Labor government in 1959, then enhanced in 2005 again by Labor government, but nothing done since. So this is the challenge that we have with those opposite, is that they want to talk a big game on regional roads, they want to talk a big game. For them to be saying that we are not acting is actually offensive. It doesn't align with all of the feedback that I am getting. It doesn't align with the feedback that I am getting from country mayors. We have brought forward maintenance, we have done that. Now, I just want to share with the House a little bit of facts here. So I went looking at some of these fixing country bridges, fixing country roads, fixing local roads programs, and just a bit of a call around the boards. Shell Harbour, 1.3 million. Port Stephens, 4.5 million. I got 9 million in Maitland. But look at some of these other ones. Cootamundra, 104 million. 67 million for Goulburn. 113 million for Northern Tablelands. 110 for Oxley Highway, Oxley Electorate. And Upper Hunter, 118 million. There's a bit of a stark difference here. There's a little thing called a pork barrel. Now, Coffs Harbour, don't worry, you didn't miss out. You got your bypass. You got your $500 million worth of work on the Great Western Highway. You got your $700 million on Singleton. We're about to go and do Muswellbrook. And then, of course, the new Dubbo Bridge as well. So these are all challenges here.
We will stop the clock.
Credit for the Coffs Harbour bypass.
That's no point of member for Coffs Harbour. That's not a point of order. Please resume your seat.
The Opera House, the Harbour Bridge. Take credit for it all.
Coffs Harbour, please resume your seat.
Mr Speaker, and I want to say I note the absence of the member for Oxley from the chamber, and that would be because he would be too ashamed to come down here, because he knows on Valor Beach we cleaned up the mess left by those opposite that put the community on a precarious position of safety. We will act on it. We've already said in the strategic plan we're working on this. We're going to be providing some money through our road safety funding, and actually you could just say thank you, and instead of having a crack and a pot shot on whether people in the chamber, when they are listening to you and have been listening, perhaps take a leaf out of the book of the member for Oxley and actually advocate for your community with grace. Thank you.
The question is, members, the debate is continuing. The question is the House take note of debate. I call the member in reply.
Thank you, Speaker, and I'd like to thank all members for their contributions. Member for Port Stephens, Upper Hunter, Shell Harbour, Bathurst, and the Minister for her response and reply, although it's disappointing that you spent all but 40 seconds speaking about the actual petition itself and the Failford and the Myall Lakes community. The focus was on the Myall Lakes community and this intersection, not on all the other projects in the state, which is just really disappointing. My speech today was not a crack at the government. I was talking for my community and talking about what we need to keep my community safe. Not once did I have a crack at any of you. Then you all got up and started having a crack at each other, like you're all at school. So my focus is on keeping my community safe and delivering for my community. So you all need to grow up, in my opinion, and just focus on what I'm asking for. You can laugh all you like, member for Port Stephens. So, I beg your pardon? Yeah, and so will I. This project, since the day I was elected, I've been asking for this project to be funded, and I've been asking for this project to be considered. And I have been getting the runaround, and it is frustrating for me as the member. It's frustrating for my community to be given the runaround, and it's frustrating for them when they have to wait in traffic and when they have to drive through near misses. time and time and time again. So we do ask for consideration for it to be funded. It's not a huge project to be funded, so it should be considered. And that is why the petition is here. That's why over 10,000 people signed it. So you can wipe the smirk off your face, because that is... Yes, you were.
Yes, you were.
We'll stop the clock. We will stop the clock. I'm sorry, member for Myall, if you can resume your seat. The minister is raising a point of order.
I have listened silently onto this debate. I have listened to the member. I have listened to her. I have listened silently, and I have not had any point of discussion around your community and negativity on that. And I have not been smirking, and that is outrageous and offensive. Well, no, don't just be out there slandering everyone.
All right, that's all right.
Disgrace.
Members, I do not need the assistance. That is not a point of order. But the minister did seek to request a correction. But we have 20 seconds left, and I call the member for Myall Lakes to continue.
Speaker, can we have our 3 minutes back?
No, it's fine.
We won't. Member for Tamworth, we will not reinstate 3 minutes. There has been interjections from all sides throughout the context of the petition debate. If we were to do that, we would be here even later than we are already planned to be here.
I thank
Member
my
for Myall Lakes, and if she
Thank
needs
you.
a bit of extra
Yeah.
time, we will be
I'm fine.
lenient.
I thank my community for backing in this petition and for their contribution to this, because it's their need. It's not my need, it's my community's need. And I ask the minister to consider that when she's looking at the budget. Thank you.
I thank the member for Myall Lakes. The question is, the House take note of the petition. All of that opinion say aye. To the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it.